Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, also streaming on Expert CRE Seekers podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the deferred sales trust is an amazing way for you to create and preserve more wealth by exiting multi-million-dollar cryptocurrency, business, or real estate assets. Tax deferred and be able to invest at your own time. My name is Brett Swartz, and each and every episode, I'm joined by some of the best real estate, financial wealth, and business minds in the world, where they share their ideas, deal stories, and inspiration. So together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. I'm excited about our next guest. She is the Director of Investor Relations at Lone Star Capital and oversees marketing for the company. She's responsible for coordinating Lone Star's in-person summits. She's originally from the Bay Area of California, and she's now residing in New York. Please welcome to the show with me, Dasha Beardsley. Dasha, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And for our listeners getting to know you for the first time, would you give us a little bit more about your story and your current focus?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm from the Bay Area. I studied at USC, the University of Southern California. I got a degree in real estate development and decided to work for my older brother's firm, Lone Star Capital, coming out of college.
Excellent. And taking another step back, before we dive into navigating passive investing and marketing strategies, I believe you've all been given certain gifts in this life, and these gifts have been given to be a blessing and help to others. So I'm curious, what would you feel like is your one or two like super strength, or superpower, and how does that help how you help and bless people today?
I think multitasking and being able to stay organized within focusing on many different things is what has really helped me in this role, and I think just a great strength of mine. I think with investor relations, you have so many different things that you have to do, people to keep track of, so those skills are really important.
Cool. Excellent. And so let's dive right into the topic at hand, which is doing just that, navigating passive investing and marketing strategies. So what would you say is the number one secret to doing what you do and doing it well?
I would say communicating really well. I know that communication is kind of a cliche, but I think it's super, super important. And even though it is very, harped on in this business, I think that people still don't necessarily, value it as much as they should. There's plenty of times that investors will have a positive outcome as far as returns with an investment or an investment company, and they still won't want to invest again because their communication just wasn't up to par, or they didn't feel that seen by the company. And so I think whenever someone's wanting to invest their hard-earned capital with a sponsor or an operator, I think it's really important that you make sure that you communicate that you're taking it very seriously, being a steward of their capital. So communicating well, timely as well, is very important.
Excellent. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. You've got to make sure you have clear, concise, and detailed information for people to make sure that they're not getting any confusion, right? Because a confused mind always says no. By the way, you can learn more about Dasha and Lone Star Capital by going to lscre.com. That's lscre.com. So what are you seeing right now? And as far as marketing trends, Dasha, maybe even talking about AI and ways to use AI, what are ways that are helping you to communicate even better these days?
So as far as marketing, there's a ton of new softwares that use AI that make it a lot easier. Luckily, I'm overseeing marketing, so this helps my marketing team to be a lot more efficient. So, for example, there's we put out content on all social media platforms 5 days a week. So that's kind of one of the big things that we do for marketing, is providing educational content and posting that on social media. And so there's, for example, a new software that we're using, an AI software that automatically clips the longer podcasts or the longer videos into clips that make sense, that are kind of the most important highlights of each video. So that really helps. And there's also AI that can help you write captions, also come up with certain ideas for topics. We haven't used that yet, but there's a ton of change happening specifically, I see, with marketing as it relates to AI.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm finding that ChatGPT has been awesome too. Right? You can talk into it and say, "Hey, help me create a 3 email sequence. Help me to create a Instagram post or LinkedIn post," and you can just kind of tell the story behind it or the idea that you're trying to get out, and it's going to concisely and in a kind of great way put it pretty much together. And then of course you edit it a bit, but it saves a lot of time for that first draft just to get it out. I know for me to be able to talk into the app on my phone and then see it pop up on my desktop has been amazing for me. I feel like I do more. I'm more likely to actually create the content because it's not such a barrier to sit down and have to like literally type it out finger by finger. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's also really helpful with, I'm sending emails all day, responding to people, and sometimes if it's just a little bit more complex of an issue, I can get writer's block, and so I go to ChatGPT all the time to at least start a first draft of what I'm going to say. Of course, I edit it a lot. It's not going to be able to have my voice as much as I'd like, or whatever it is, but it really, really helps getting over that initial hump of like, oh, I have to send this long email, and I think it outlines it very well as well to make it more organized.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. So what else? Are you guys doing conferences, Darsha? Are you guys doing events? Talk to us a little bit about that strategy for Lone Star and how that's working out.
Yeah, so our team, I don't go to all of the conferences, but our team goes to a lot of the major conferences. And something that we do a lot of specifically is we schedule meetings beforehand. So we want to be really organized and intentional whenever we are going in person. We want to make sure that we're meeting with the people that we want to meet with and not just leave it up to chance. So that's something that we do. And then we also host our own summit in the fall of every year. So this is going to be our fourth one coming up in September of 2024. And this year it's going to be by application and invite only. And yeah, the real goal is just to bring the best in class operators all across commercial real estate, as well as, top tier equity providers.
Excellent, great. And tell us a little bit more about Lone Star and what you guys do and how you guys earn great returns for your investors.
So at Lone Star Capital, hence the name, we are only in Texas at the moment. The majority of our portfolio is in Houston, which is where we've been focused for the majority of the firm's lifespan so far. And then now we have recently expanded to Dallas and San Antonio. And so we're very intentional about which markets that we're in, not only how we pick them, but also just staying in those markets and being very focused. That's one of the key principles of our investment strategy, because we've seen more and more over the years how much this has benefited us to be very focused in particular markets. For example, we have plenty of situations in Houston where we own the same properties right next door to each other, or there is a smaller multifamily building that we wouldn't normally buy, but because it was right next door, it shared a fence with our existing property, it made sense. And it also, we were able to, they reached out directly to us to sell. They didn't actually market the deal, which is pretty rare these days to actually find an not marketed opportunity. So from the acquisition side, it's really helpful to be focused geographically, having a good reputation in those markets for actually being able to transact. But then also from a management perspective, we brought in-house management in 2021, which was pretty early on in our growth, but I would say it was just really important for us to be able to provide more transparency and have greater control of our assets. So we brought management in-house in 2021, and that would have been nearly impossible to do at our size if we were scattered across the country. So that's another thing that we do. And then aside from that, we are just constantly looking how to improve the situation with our properties. So whether that be, we've been implementing some tax exemption strategies and partnering with the local housing authorities. We've also done, this is a recent fun thing that we're doing, is bulk Wi-Fi. So we're actually able to provide Wi-Fi for a similar or cheaper price to our residents and make a decent profit on it at the same time. So we're just always looking to implement little things like that increase the bottom line.
Awesome. Yeah, you can learn more about Dasha Beardsley by going to lscre.com. It's lscre.com, and more about Lone Star Capital and their strategy for investing into Texas at this point, multifamily, and their returns and different things that they're doing. Cool. Dasha, what haven't I asked you so far that I should have asked you?
I guess what is the I don't know, maybe what's the best principle, I guess, of investor relations that
Yeah,
I would,
that sounds good. What is that? Yeah, that sounds great.
well, it was basically what I was talking about earlier with communication, but I think specifically the timeliness of it. I think this. Even though I service a bunch of investors, each investor, their money is so important to them, and it's very important to us too. So the timeliness of that is very important. So at Lone Star, we kind of have an unwritten rule that we have to get back to investors within 24 hours.
Got it. How about the rhythm as far as the quarterly updates or the monthly updates or the with the webinars that you might be doing, or like kind of walk us through like the rhythm of your overall communications in general?
So we do monthly updates and monthly distributions. Those are just our direct communications to our investors. We, of course, are very active on social media as well. But as far as communications go, we do monthly updates. And then, of course, we are talking with our investors frequently in between.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Neat. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Sure.
All right. Knowing what you know now, if you could go back to your let's call it your 20-year-old self, what's the one golden nugget to make sure you tell yourself to do?
I would say learn about something really specific within the industry. I know that I have a lot of general knowledge, but for example, I'm diving a lot more into 1031 exchanges right now. So I would say it would be helpful for me back then to specifically hone in on something or a specific strategy.
Cool. Okay, get a little more niche down. Second question: what's your number one book you've recommended or gifted the most in the past year?
I'm a little bit biased. My brother, the principal of Lone Star Capital, has published 2 books, but I really enjoyed the second one. It's called Structuring and Raising Debt and Equity for Real Estate, and I think it really succinctly covers a lot of topics, but is very dense at the same time.
Okay, cool, excellent. Question number 3: what are you most curious about right now?
I would say 1031 exchanges and kind of the differences between the different ways to structure them. At Lone Star Capital, we only do TIC 1030 tenancy in common 1031 exchanges, and so I've just been really diving in, trying to read up on some books and things like that.
Cool. Next question: favorite leadership quote or theme that you strive to live by?
I would say, like, treat others the way that you want to be treated, that which is, definitely relates to investor relations as well. You have to think about, like, empathize with your investors and understand if they're frustrated with something, like how you would feel in that situation. So I think that that's good in a career sense as well. Always trying to do the right thing.
Awesome. Let's see here. Last question. After all your success, helping all the people you've helped, doing all the things you guys do at Lone Star, what would you say is your best way to make sure you stay centered in your values and stay encouraged to charge forward to reach even higher heights?
I think having a really long-term outlook. I think a lot of the times when people see short-term gains or profits, that's when you can compromise your values. But everything long-term, having a long-term outlook really makes you focus in on your values more, because if you're out of your values long-term, it's never going to work out. So I think we as a firm, and myself specifically, are really we're really into delayed gratification and the long-term growth of the firm, rather than trying to make, some short-term benefits for us.
Hey, I think that's great wisdom. Darsha, I want to thank you for being on the show. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your thoughts on marketing, on strategies, and everything else. I want to encourage you to keep using your gifts to bless people with communication, multitasking, and get things done. I can tell that you do that well. For our listeners who want to get in touch with you, remind one last time, what's the best place for them to find you?
Our website at www.lscre.com.
Awesome. Darsha, thank you for being on the show. And that's lscre.com, everybody. And I want to thank everyone else for listening to the episode of the Capital Gains Tax Podcast. We're also streaming Expert CRE Secrets Podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the deferred sales trust is an amazing way for you to create and preserve more wealth. Deferred capital gains taxes have an alternative to a 1031 exchange, so you're never caught, paying for something you don't want to overpay for. You can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to learn more about that. We also just released the best 1031 exit plan at expertsecrets.com, experttaxsecrets.com, where you can now have a regular 1031 and then have a backup plan using the deferred sales trust. And lastly, we have the book, Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan. You can find that on Amazon. Appreciate everyone listening and watching out there, and we will talk